So I'm at the gym and the instructor, full of that bright-eyed, PRE workout energy, shouts out to the class, "All right team, listen up. For this next set, just lift what you can." A simple instruction, clear, to the point. But for some reason, my brain decided to take a scenic route. I walked right up to him, past the clanging weights and the low hum of the treadmills, and with a completely straight face, I asked, "Your limit or mine?" There was a half-second of complete, beautiful silence. You could have heard a protein shake drop. His smile sort of froze mid-beam. A guy on the bench press nearby did one of those snort laughs that's half air, half surprise. The instructor blinked, processed it, and then let out a big, booming laugh. I laughed. We all laughed. It was a funny moment, a throwaway line, but as I walked back to my station, the laughter echoing around me, a different thought started to creep in. It wasn't just a joke. That question, it revealed something. Why did my brain even go there? Why, when told to find my own capacity, was my first instinct to look for his? That seemingly funny, off-the-cuff question reveals a massive problem with how we see ourselves and our own potential. It's a problem that goes way beyond the four walls of a gym, and it's probably the number one mistake you're making, not just in your fitness, but in your career, your goals, and your life. Let's really break that moment down. Your limit or mine? On the surface, it's a confident, almost arrogant-sounding question. It implies my limit is so far beyond the average person, so far beyond even his, that I need to know which universe of possibility we're operating in. That's the punchline, but the subtext, what my brain was really doing, is far more insecure. The instruction was lift what you can. It was a personal directive. It required me to look inward, to assess my own strength, my own energy, my own physical truth, in that exact moment. And instead of doing that, my mind immediately deflected. It externalized the problem. It looked for a benchmark, a comparison point, a ruler held by someone else. Think about how deeply conditioned this is. It's like a human software bug we've been installing since childhood. In school, what did we do? We looked at the top students' grades. We weren't just aiming to pass. We were aiming to beat Sarah, or at least not be three-letter grades behind her. Our sense of academic worth wasn't internal. It was relative. It was determined by the bell curve. In sports, it was the same. You didn't just run. You ran against the clock set by the fastest kid on the team. You didn't just play. You played to get on the leaderboard. Your performance was measured against everyone else's, and now, as adults, we have the ultimate comparison engine in our pockets, social media. We scroll through curated lives, comparing our behind-the-scenes reality to someone else's highlight reel, our messy kitchen to their pristine, minimalist living room, our Tuesday night on the couch to their Tuesday night on a beach in Bali, our career progress to the LinkedIn update of a former colleague who just got promoted to senior vice president of something or other. Psychologists have a name for this. It's called social comparison theory, an idea first floated back in the 1950s by a guy named Leon Festinger. He proposed that we have an innate drive to evaluate ourselves, and one of the main ways we do it is by comparing ourselves to others. It's how we figure out our own personal and social worth. Some research suggests a notable portion of our daily thoughts involve some kind of comparison. It's not just you. It's a fundamental part of being human. But here's where it gets dangerous, and this brings us right back to the gym floor. The gym is a pressure cooker for social comparison. It's a visual, visceral, real-time leaderboard. You have your weight, and the person next to you has theirs, and they are right there. You can see them. You can hear the clank of their plates. My joke, your limit or mine, was a defense mechanism against that pressure. It was a way of pretending I was above the game, when in reality, I was playing it just as much as anyone else. I was subconsciously asking, what's the standard here? What am I supposed to be meeting? Just tell me the number so I know if I'm good enough. This instinct, this need to measure ourselves against an external stick, is the birthplace of one of the most destructive habits in all of fitness. You may have heard the term, but I want you to really understand what it means. It's called ego lifting. And it's not just about your ego. It's about a fundamental misunderstanding of what progress actually is. Ego lifting is the physical manifestation of asking your limit or mine. It's choosing their limit, not yours, and paying a heavy price for it. Theodore Roosevelt famously said, "Comparison is the thief of joy," and he was absolutely right. But I'd take it a step further. In the gym, comparison isn't just the thief of joy. It's the thief of your gains, your health, and your potential. Let's break down the 4 ways this mistake, constantly looking over your shoulder, is sabotaging you. First, and most simply, it steals your joy. Fitness, at its core, should be a celebration of what your body can do. It's a personal journey of discovery. It's about feeling stronger, having more energy, and the quiet confidence that comes from showing up for yourself. But the second you start comparing, you change the game. It's no longer a personal journey. It's a competition you are almost guaranteed to lose. Why? Because there will always be someone stronger. There will always be someone faster. There will always be someone who looks leaner, who started after you but is progressing faster, who seems to just get it with less effort. I remember when I first started taking lifting seriously. There was this other guy who joined the gym around the same time. Let's call him Chad because, of course. And Chad was a genetic freak. He just excelled at everything. His bench press flew up. His squats were deep and heavy. Meanwhile, I was struggling to add 5 pounds to my lift over a month. I started to dread my workouts. I'd see him across the gym, effortlessly warming up with my max weight, and this black cloud of inadequacy would just descend over me. The joy was gone. It was replaced with bitter, resentful frustration. I wasn't celebrating my own small victories. I was mourning the fact that they weren't as big as his. The whole process, which should have been empowering, became a constant reminder of what I wasn't. That's the joy thief in action. Second, and this is where it gets physically dangerous, comparison kills your progress through ego lifting. Ego lifting is prioritizing the amount of weight you're lifting over your form, your safety, and the actual effectiveness of the exercise. It's a direct consequence of seeing what Chad is lifting and thinking, "I should be lifting that too," without any thought for your own body's capacity. What does ego lifting look like in the wild? You've seen it. It's the guy doing a bench press who bounces the bar off his chest like he's performing CPR on it. It's the person loading up the leg press with every plate in a 5-mile radius, only to move the sled 2 inches. It's the bicep curls that look more like a full body seizure, with hips and back swinging violently to get the weight up. It's the deadlift where the person's back is rounded like a Halloween cat, putting immense pressure on their spine. Why do people do this? To impress others, or more accurately, to impress their own idea of what others will find impressive. But here's the brutal irony. Not only does it look ridiculous to anyone who knows what they're doing, but it is also catastrophically counterproductive to your goals. When you break form to lift a weight, you're not effectively training the target muscle. That bicep curl using your whole body, your bicep is doing maybe 20% of the work. Your lower back, not meant to be a primary mover in that exercise, is taking the rest. This leads to a whole host of problems. At best, you're just wasting your time, reinforcing bad movement patterns, and not getting the gains you're after. At worst, you are fast-tracking yourself to a serious injury. Think about it, improper lifting is a huge risk factor for everything from muscle strains and ligament sprains to much more serious issues. Every time you lift with poor form, you risk a herniated disc, where the cushioning between your vertebrae gets squeezed out of place. You risk rotator cuff tears in your shoulder from jerky, uncontrolled overhead presses. You risk patellar tendonitis in your knee from squatting with bad alignment. These aren't minor aches. These are injuries that can set you back for months or even years and lead to chronic problems. Ego lifting isn't a shortcut to getting stronger. It's a shortcut to getting hurt. Third, comparison creates a false narrative. When I was watching Chad in the gym, what did I see? A guy who was strong. That's it. That was the whole story my brain told me. But what I didn't see was his story before that moment. I didn't see if he'd been an athlete his whole life. I didn't see his genetics. I didn't see the hours he spent reading about programming or the money he spent on a coach. I didn't see the years of consistency it took to build that foundation. I didn't see his failures, his injuries, his bad days. I only saw his highlight reel. We do this constantly. We compare our chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. It's like lining up for a marathon, looking at the person 20 miles ahead and feeling bad about yourself for not being there yet. It's absurd. They started at a different time. They have a different training plan. They have different shoes. Their body is different. Their goals are different. You're running completely different races, yet you insist on judging yourself as if you're in a head-to-head sprint. This false narrative is exhausting, and it's built on incomplete, biased data, and that leads to the fourth and final point. Comparison warps your very perception of what a limit is. My joke, your limit or mine, hit on this perfectly. We become so obsessed with other people's limits that we lose touch with our own. A limit is supposed to be a personal boundary, a point of feedback from your own body. It's a dialogue between your mind and your muscles, but when you're constantly looking externally, that dialogue gets hijacked. Your limit is no longer defined by what your body is telling you. It's defined by what the person next to you is doing. Studies on social comparison in fitness show that making upward comparisons looking at people better than you can lead to lower self-evaluations and more negative emotions. You start to believe their capacity should be your capacity. This creates a toxic internal pressure, a voice that says, "He's lifting it, why can't you?" Or "She's running that fast, you're just being lazy." This is a disastrous way to approach your body. It replaces self-awareness with self-criticism. It replaces listening with demanding. It turns your body from a partner in this journey into an adversary you have to bully into submission. And that is a recipe for burnout, injury, and a deeply unhealthy relationship with the one vehicle you have to carry you through life. Comparison isn't a harmless habit. It robs your joy, risks your health, distorts your reality, and disconnects you from your own truth. It's one of the biggest mistakes you can make. So if comparison is the problem, what's the solution? If asking for their limit is the mistake, what's the right question? The solution is a complete revolution in your thinking. A mindset shift so fundamental, it will change not just your workouts, but how you approach every challenge in your life. It's deceptively simple, but incredibly powerful. It is the U mantra. This isn't just a cute, motivational phrase for a t-shirt. It is an active, conscious decision to change your unit of measurement. It's the act of throwing away the external ruler you've been using to measure your worth your entire life and forging a new one built from your own experience, your own data, your own story. The only comparison that matters is you today versus you yesterday. That's it. That is the only leaderboard. For years, I would look at other people in the fitness space and constantly feel like I was falling short. I'd think, do people even take me seriously? I'm not ripped. I don't have 8-pack ABS. I'm not lifting a car over my head. I wanted to admit that vulnerability because it feels a little more raw and honest. It's a trap I fell into for a long, long time, and it was crushing my motivation. The shift happened when I realized the game was rigged. I was playing a game I could never win because the goalposts were constantly being moved by thousands of other people. So I quit. I quit their game and started my own. The only competitor in my new game was the guy I was yesterday, and suddenly I started winning. A lot.so, how do you do this? How do you practically implement the U revolution in a world that's constantly screaming at you to compare? It comes down to 4 actionable steps. Step 1, you must fall in love with the logbook. Whether it's a crumpled notebook, a fancy app, or a spreadsheet, you need to start tracking your own data. This is the most crucial, non-negotiable step. Why? Because memory is fallible. You might feel like you're not making progress, but data doesn't lie. A workout journal gives you a clear picture of your progress. I want you to track everything. The date, the exercise, the weight, the sets, the reps. But don't stop there. Add a notes column. How did it feel? Was the last rep a grind, or did you have one left in the tank? How was your form? Your sleep the night before? Your energy on a scale of 1 to 10? This logbook becomes your sacred text. It's the story of you. And something magical happens when you start doing this. A month from now, you'll have one of those days where you feel weak, like you've gone backward. You'll be tempted to look over at someone else and let that poison of comparison seep in. But instead, you'll open your logbook, and you'll see that a month ago, you were lifting 10 pounds less for fewer reps, and it felt harder then than it does today. That is tangible evidence. It's your ruler. It's objective proof that you are getting better. Looking back shows you that your hard work has paid off and reminds you that you can do it even when you feel like you can't. Your log provides accountability and keeps you motivated. Seeing your improvement over time is a huge boost to your confidence. Step 2, redefine progress by celebrating micro wins. Our comparison-addled brains tend to define progress in huge, dramatic leaps. Going from a 100 pound bench to a 300 pound bench, losing 50 pounds, running a marathon. Those are great long-term goals, but they are terrible for day-to-day motivation. The U mindset is about finding victory in the small stuff. Did you do one more rep on your last set of squats than last week? That's a win. Write it down. Did you hold your plank for 5 seconds longer? That's a win. Write it down. Was your form better on your deadlifts today? Your back flatter? That's a massive win. Write it down. Did you just not feel like going to the gym at all, but you dragged yourself there and did something? That might be the biggest win of the month. Progress isn't a straight line. It's a messy scribble of good days and bad days. But the overall trend, if you're consistent, will be upward. By celebrating these micro wins, you're giving your brain a constant stream of positive reinforcement. You are training yourself to see the journey, not just the destination. Exercise releases endorphins, those feel-good chemicals that boost your mood. And achieving these small goals gives you a sense of purpose and accomplishment, which can reduce stress and anxiety. Step 3 is what I call the blinders on technique. This is about creating a sacred, focused environment, especially when you feel vulnerable. On days when your motivation is low or you're feeling self-critical, you need to be strategic. This means putting on headphones and finding a playlist that drowns out the world. It means finding a corner of the gym where you're not staring at the powerlifting platform. It means focusing intently on your own body. Focus on your breathing. Focus on the mind-muscle connection, really feeling the specific muscle you are trying to work. When you are fully present in your own body, the noise of the outside world starts to fade. The need for comparison diminishes because you're engrossed in the conversation happening between your own ears and your own muscles. This is your time. It's not a public performance. It's a private practice. Guard it fiercely. Step 4 is to learn, not compare. This is the advanced level. This is where you transform that poisonous instinct into a powerful tool. You can still look at the person lifting heavy. You can still watch the person who runs with perfect form. But you're going to change the question in your head. The old question was, Why aren't I as good as them? The new question is, what can I learn from them? Instead of feeling envy, cultivate curiosity. Notice their technique. How do they brace their core before a heavy lift? What's their foot placement on the squat? Notice their consistency. See them there, day in and day out. Let their discipline inspire your discipline, not shame it. The moment you shift from comparison to curiosity, everyone in the gym ceases to be a competitor and instead becomes a potential teacher or a source of inspiration. You realize everyone is on their own journey. This mindset is a game changer. Research suggests that upward comparison, when framed as a learning opportunity, can actually boost motivation. It's about seeing what's possible and using it to fuel your own journey, not to judge it. By logging your data, celebrating micro wins, putting your blinders on, and learning instead of comparing, you are taking back control. You are quitting their game and becoming the undefeated champion of your own, and this isn't just about the gym. This is the crucial part. The gym is just a metaphor, a training ground for life. The lessons we learn under the bar are the same lessons we need out in the world. This toxic habit of comparison, of asking for their limit instead of finding our own, infects every corner of our existence. Think about your career. You're on LinkedIn and see someone you graduated with just landed a fancy job. The immediate gut punch reaction is that feeling of falling behind. That's you looking at their weight on the bar. You're comparing your career lift to theirs, but you're not seeing the whole story. You don't see that maybe they hate their job, work 80 hours a week, and have no time for their family. You don't see that your job, while less glamorous, gives you incredible work-life balance. You're comparing your path to theirs without respecting that you might be heading to completely different destinations. The UVS you approach in your career means defining what success looks like for you. Is it a title, money, autonomy?
Impact, flexibility. You track your own progress, new skills learned, projects completed, positive feedback. That becomes your career logbook. Think about your creative pursuits. You're a painter, a writer, a musician. You look at the masters, at the wildly successful people, and you feel paralyzed. I'll never be that good, you think. That's you asking for their limit. You're forgetting that they also started with a blank page. They also had years of practice, filled with terrible first drafts and canvases they painted over. The you versus you approach is about finishing one more page today than yesterday. It's about learning one new chord. It's about seeing your own style evolve, especially if it doesn't look like anyone else's. Think about your finances, your relationships, your life goals. The pressure to buy a house by 30, to be married by a certain age, to have kids, to have a certain kind of lifestyle. Where does this pressure come from? It's society's version of the instructor saying, lift what you can, and us assuming he means the weight everyone else is lifting. They are external benchmarks that often have little to do with our personal happiness. Lift what you can in life means taking on challenges that are right for you. Right now, it means honoring your own capacity, knowing that some seasons of life are for building strength, and some are for recovery. It means not taking on a massive mortgage, a heavy weight, if you're not financially ready, just because your friends are. It means not forcing a relationship to a certain stage, a forced rep, if it doesn't feel authentic. It's about replacing the question, what are they doing, with the question, what is right for me? It's about having the courage to run your own race, at your own pace, on your own track. When you free yourself from the mental burden of comparison, you create the space to truly thrive. I've shared my own struggles with this, that feeling of inadequacy, the pressure to keep up. But I know I'm not alone. We all fight this battle. So I want to ask you, share a time you overcame a mental limit in the comments below. It doesn't have to be in the gym. When did you finally decide to throw away someone else's ruler and run your own race? It could be in your career, a hobby, or a personal goal. Reading these stories helps all of us realize we're in this together. Let's build that community and share that strength right here. It all comes back to that simple, funny moment in the gym. A question born from a lifetime of conditioning. Your limit or mine? For so long, we've been taught to look for their limit. The limit set by our peers, by society, by the curated images on our screens. We've been living our lives and pursuing our goals based on a set of rules we never agreed to, in a game that was never designed for us to win. The invitation today is to stop. Stop asking for their limit. Stop looking over your shoulder. Turn inward. Listen to your own body, your own intuition, your own truth. Start the you versus you revolution in your own life. The real question is not, and never was, about their limit. The real question is, what's your limit? The truth is, you don't have one. Now go find that out.